Hi, this is Arthur Karamazzi, and welcome to how your customer's brain may be costing you up to 74% of your customers. Now, we are assuming that this is, the second session of this series, and so we are assuming that you already know what colored brain is all about. Okay, so we assume that you've already seen the colored brain training video and that you know what green brain is and what blue brains are and what purple brains and red brains are all about. Okay, so that is going to be the foundation in order to move forward with this session that we are doing here today. So, if you haven't seen it, please go to coloredbrain.com, and there's a whole training section in there. Please watch the video on the introduction to colored brain. Okay, ready? All right, so first thing we got to do is we got to look at the filters. All right, so now just a brief recap on what colored brains are. Okay, green brains, chaotic processing. All right, chaotic processing, which means that literally nothing is connected and they have to take action in order to get clarity. Second, linear processing, the red brains, who need structure, need facts, and basically need to get clarity before they take action. Okay, then purple brains, everything is connected through data and information. And of course, blue brains, also everything is connected, but connected through kind of a sensitivity of the surroundings and what's going on. So, the genetic way that our brain interprets and processes the world around us is colored brain. Now, this is nothing to do, remember, this is nothing to do with personality. Okay? It is not why you do things. It has nothing to do with your introvert or extrovert, or if you're risk adverse, or if you're adventurous, or if you like cocoa or coffee. Has nothing to do with any of that. Okay? So, this is only how you interpret the world around you. That's it. How. Okay? And because that how is a genetic foundation, it makes a very, very big difference in the messages that we accept or don't accept, in how information is literally filtered through our perception of reality. So, let's start with the filters. All right? Number one, if you are green-brained, you are going to be literally processing chaos, which means from your perspective, people obviously can see that this way that you're seeing it in a chaotic way is something that they're easily going to take action on. It's like, wow, okay, no problem. We just take some action and we're going to do this and just make it happen, and that's how they do it. So you don't need a lot of information on that. Well, okay, that's great if you're only going for the green brain guys, right? Or the green brain people, the green brain customers. Okay? They don't need lots of information. What they need are just like some real quick things to make it, bam, yes, that's what I want. Just the real quick points. Okay? And that's it. That's all I need. And so therefore, if I see that end result, I see that potential outcome based on that little bit of information and that kind of connection that you're making it, boom, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to buy, I'm ready to push your button, I'm ready to take whatever action you need me to take. Maybe opt in, sign in, whatever. Okay? But what if I'm not green? What if I am, let's say, red? Okay, is there enough structure? Okay? Am I getting, if I analyze it, am I getting the complete picture? Am I able to see clarity of everything in a clear, structured perspective, where I will be able to know that if I take this action, if I take the action, then I will be able to get this end result. And if not, if it's not clear, if it's not obvious, I'm not going to take the action. I'm not even going to opt in. Why should I? Okay, it may not be, it may be some other spam thing or something. Okay, I don't want to do it. Now, what about if I'm Purple Brain? Now I'm this Purple Brain guy. I need lots and lots of details, right? I need lots of information. So, are there links to the research that has proven this thing? I mean, is there some other little bits of information that I can access? Can I search on the net? Where does this credibility come from? Where's the details? Show me what this thing is really going to make, or how this thing is really going to make my end result happen. And I need all of the details to do that. But here's the problem. Now, if I have too many details, what about the green brains that don't like the details? Are they still going to take action? So now we've got this problem, okay, where you've got one people who see this as like, wow, I don't need too much information, but you've got these other people that need all of the information. And then you've got the blue brains, okay, who are literally just kind of like feeling everything through, as it goes. And for them, they need to have this kind of personal connection with you in order to have this sense of trust. So what we've got here is we've got basically different brain colors are filtering different messages depending on how you create them. You create something with lots of details, the green brains are going to filter it out unless it is given in a specific way. See, if you were going to be able to cater to all the different brain colors, you have to separate your message into the different areas. Now, let's look at what green brains want. They want bullet points, they want quick, they want to see the end result, they want to see the more or less the big picture and the benefits related to that big picture. They will take action, okay? Now, you also need to take care of the red brains who need the clarity and the structure. Okay? So the logic behind it. So you separate another part that basically gives the logic. Okay, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, this is why this is like this is why this is like this. And so that is right under the big picture. Okay? And you're giving clarity and a realistic perspective of what would happen if this happens, what would happen if this happens. So you're giving various scenarios that basically can feed pain or can also feed pleasure. Now, with the purple brains, okay, they're going to need to see the details, but you don't want to put a lot of details on your stuff. So what you do is you have links that open up in separate pages, okay, that will say, hey, here's all of the different areas where we have credibility. You can see our stuff here, you can see our stuff here, you can see our stuff here. Look at these links. Boom, 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 boom. And you have a list of links. Okay? Now that basically is going to please the purple brains because now they have this ability to kind of connect and get all of the information they want. And the fact that you're giving them the information and making it easy for them to get the information, it's like, wow, these people really get me. Whoa. Okay? And so then you have, of course, the blue brains who need to see you. They need to see your face. See, look, here I am. Okay? And they need to see that you're like a real human being and not like some, sharp kind of guy that's like, hey, I am so cool. Okay? But what they need is they need to kind of connect with the actual human being. All right? Now, what this does is it also gives you credibility factors. Okay? When you are promoting your idea, you're promoting your product, you're promoting your service, you're getting people to opt into a list or whatever it is that you're doing, okay, the key is still going to be credibility. And if, let's say, for example, if I'm red brain, and there's a lot of red brains probably watching this right now, okay? I mean, just think about it. You see somebody that's like out there and it's like, oh, I'm not, we just do this, and hey, let's just try this. Okay, and you're looking at these people going, oh my gosh, it's like, what are these people doing? They're just out everywhere, and they're not really structured. They're not really, giving a complete logical picture. So therefore, trust is gone. Now, at the same time, you don't want to be boring, right? You don't want to be boring, so you don't want to just be logical and structured and everything else. You still want to have the structure. You still want to have the logic. But you still don't want to be boring, because that's going to make the rest of the people go, oh my gosh, really? Okay? And so you want to create the details for credibility for the purples. You want to create the connection. Okay? You want to basically make sure that people know who you are in relationship to what it is that you are selling or promoting. Okay? I mean, I can say, hey, I am Arthur Carmazzi, and I am a parent of like 2 awesome kids and a super awesome wife. Well, not a parent of the wife, but you get it, And that has absolutely nothing to do with Colored Brain or marketing or anything like that. It has nothing to do with what you might be looking for. It may be true, and it may be one facet of my life, but it's not relevant. So make sure that whatever it is that you are explaining about your credibility, that it is relevant to what you are doing. And you're doing it in such a way where you're pleasing the green brains. Hey, here I am, okay? And pleasing the blue brains, where it's like, hey, here I am, okay? It's me, really, like I'm a human being, okay? And then here's the links, okay? All the little bits of information. Here's where I've done all this crazy stuff. And here is the logic of why you should listen to me, okay? Because I've done this, I've helped this person, I've done this, I've done that, and there you go. So now, all of this can be done in a video. It can be done with, bullet points. If you don't want to do videos, it's okay. At least have a picture of you and maybe, make yourself kind of like a real human being. And at the same time, what are the credibility factors in all 4 brain colors? Okay? So, what are the different types of actions that your brain color, that the different customers are going to take? Okay, let's look at green brains. Okay? Green brains are not always going to be high risk takers. This has nothing to do with how much risk you take. Remember, it is only how you interpret the world around you. But green brains, okay, will be the people who are going to literally, be in a situation where they don't need all of this stuff. So it is easier to get a green brain to opt in and to at least listen to you. Okay? But they're only going to be listening to you or watching you or whatever if the things that you provide are short and easy. Okay? Short and easy. Now, once you've got that credibility, then of course any of the brain colors, no problem, they'll listen to you for a couple of hours. But you have to have that credibility first, that connection. Like, yes, this person is speaking to me, they understand me. So, number 2, the red brains. Okay, the different kinds of actions, they will need to have that clarity first, which means, where's the logic? Okay, objectively, how does this compare to other things? Comparisons also help because they can actually, there's the analysis part. They don't need to deal with the going in and analyzing it. You're doing it for them. You're giving them the analysis. You're giving them, here's the comparison. So comparisons work really good for red brains. Okay, now, of course, the purple brains, okay, all of the little bits and pieces, research papers, content that you've created, things that you have done that have shown specific processes or actions or relationships or whatever that your product or service has achieved. Okay, now, of course, that also helps with the credibility for the red brains. Or for everybody, but the more details you have and the links to it is definitely going to help the purple brains, because the other brain colors would probably take a little bit faster action, okay, especially for greens, and the reds, if they have the clarity, they will take faster action without all of the details, because they don't need to see everything, they just need to know that it's there and that it's real, okay? And of course the blue brains, the kind of actions that they're going to take is like, wow, this guy seems really sincere. Let's try to see what it's about. Okay, you know, this guy seems like, you know, he really knows what he's talking about. And now, do not misinterpret that blue brains are wishy-washy. Okay, blue brains simply are empathetic, which means they can kind of relate to people. It doesn't mean that they get taken advantage of. Sometimes they do, but just like any other brain color, right? Okay, but the thing is that you've got this, they need to have that real connection. So the action is going to be based on the person. Do they like you? And if they don't like you, well, you know, sorry, you're not really going to get that blue brain. And you know, here's the thing. You don't have to get everybody to like you, because there's only going to be a certain type of people that are really going to be benefiting from your style, your type. But if you create the 4 different colored brains, if you create a process where all of the 4 different colored brains are going to kind of get communicated to, at least your style and your process and everything else will be able to reach more people instead of just reaching that one group that is exactly like you. And that's all I've got for this particular video. Okay, I hope that it's useful. And remember, please do go to coloredbrain.com, and you know, we've got the test there if you haven't already taken the test. And you also have if you haven't seen the video on Colored Brain, definitely make sure you see that. And also, there is the study that we recently did with kids. So if any of you have kids, okay, we actually did a study with my son's first grade class, which we identified the different colored brains and how those colored brains work in different groups. And you'll see that it's so obvious, especially in kids. So anyway, please check that out, coloredbrain.com. This is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you great success.